Hi everyone, I thought I'd do a video on stress. If you're an eczema sufferer, this is going to be a good one. Or if you're suffering from anything else, you're going to hopefully find this very interesting. So we now know, it is now known scientifically that stress causes harm in the body. And for a variety of different reasons, one of which is it can contribute to inflammation or chronic inflammation, and it can also trigger hormones which cause the immune system to become suppressed. And it also actually constricts the DNA. It actually tightens it up. So what many people don't realize is that, but also stress is something that we all have the power, that you have the power to redefine at any given moment so it doesn't actually impact your body. What do I mean by this? So a few years ago, I read a book which really changed my perception of what stress is. In fact, this was accompanied by other transformational programs I was doing at the time. So stress, I learned, is an internal response to external strains. What does that mean? Well, it is our internal response here normally, which based on our external environment, whether it's a person or situation, which has the power to influence our nervous system by our perception. What's a simpler way of looking at that? It is our perception. It is the meaning that we give to things which actually contributes to what we now know as stress. Let's give you a really simple example. Let's say there are two people in a traffic jam in separate cars. They're both late for work, and the traffic jam, there's an accident, and they both react very differently. One person is really chilled out, just like, traffic jam, not much I can do about this. It's just there. I'm going to let people know that I'm going to be late, and I'm just going to chill out and listen to some music or a podcast. Maybe the Neil Cannon Vitality Secret podcast. The idea is you're going to use the time, and instead of kind of reacting to the situation, maybe you'll pull over and let the people know they're going to be late. Of course, not doing it while they're driving. Next, the other person can be in exactly the same situation, late for work, and be effing and blinding, cutting people up, really reacting in a way that we know is actually causing a stressor on the immune system, because that kind of reaction will increase the blood pressure as well. And it can affect the body in many different ways. When you become irate and angry and you trigger these different chemicals in the body. We actually have this pharmacy of chemicals in the body which is within our power as to which ones we release or not. When we have very high vibrational emotions, love, peace, appreciation, gratitude, they trigger very, very different pharmacy of chemicals in the body to the emotions that can be related to stress or even anxiety or depression, or chronic negative emotions secrete different chemicals in the body. And stress secretes the hormones of stress. So, two people in a traffic jam, one person totally chilled, the other person, irate, road rage, wants to punch someone. That person is going to suffer. This person is going to be nice and chilled with a strong immune system. So if you have eczema, you know that there is a direct relationship between stress and eczema. It can literally be, we get stressed and then we start scratching immediately. It's like a habit. It's habitual. It's our go-to mechanism for coping with this thing that we've called stress. And it can also affect the body in other ways. Again, causes inflammation, chronic inflammation, the root cause of eczema and almost every other health challenge known to man. So I just want to let you know that you have the power to redefine things that would normally cause you this thing called stress at any given time. And it just requires a little bit of creative thinking about how you might redefine it. In the traffic jam, you might just decide there's nothing I can do about that. There's traffic there, and that's it. I'm just going to chill out. Let's say you're in a work situation and you have a deadline. That is some kind of pressure that you may call stress. And it might be a constant ongoing thing. Every month or every week there's a deadline to reach, and you're experiencing this thing called stress, which is this response in your body. It's your internal response to this external thing going on. I don't know what I'm doing here. So it is an internal response to the external thing that's happening. There's a few things that you can do now. You can actually say, right, why am I experiencing stress right now? Why am I experiencing this thing that I've called stress? What is it? Let's say it's pressure, deadline. What stress really is, in this particular example, is it's fear, which is the overriding emotion of any negative emotion. And it might be fear of disappointing someone, your boss. So you go, therefore, I'm stressed. I'm making up this outcome that I'm going to disappoint that. The other thing about stress is it's false evidence appearing real. We make up an outcome subconsciously, and we start thinking about that instead of everything going well. So the stress is we're going to disappoint someone. So you ask, why am I going to disappoint them? And then at that particular point, you may just go, you know what, I'm not going to disappoint them. I'm just going to do my best and get it done. If you think I'm going to disappoint them, you might want to ask another question. What does that mean if I'm going to disappoint them? Does that mean that my job's on the line? And you start asking different questions. And if you get to that conclusion, you may go, that's ridiculous, and you quickly regroup. Of course it's not. Or if it is, what does that mean? The point is, you can ask different questions, and then once you get to the answer, you can then really establish if that is what kind of fear it is and where it comes from, and then get much deeper into resolving that underlying fear which has triggered this thing called stress in your body. So all the time we have the capacity to change the meaning that we give to things outside of us that trigger this thing or this emotion that we call stress. There is a brilliant book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And he was in concentration camps, and he was able to change the meaning of his experience in there. So he was able to come out alive and stronger, where he just saw thousands of people suffering and dying. So he was able to completely change what was happening. So he survived and became a stronger man for it. Now I think if he can do this, we can do this for what we're experiencing these days. And for me, this has been a work in progress for many, many years. For some people I know, they're just naturally good at it. I've got friends who don't get fazed by anything. They're like the most chilled out people in the world. It's really admirable to see. And I also know people who get stressed by anything, and they're constantly using the word stress, and they say, that thing caused me stress, or she or he caused me stress, not really understanding that they have the power to change that response, because those things over there will not be impacting any other people in the same way. It's our internal response, because we're actually in control of our own emotions all the time, and we can reframe things whenever we want to empower us, to strengthen our immune system, instead of causing harm on the body and causing our DNA to constrict. We are always of the capacity to do this. And this is a really powerful nugget of information I've given you. It's one of the best gems I've ever had. Suffering comes, I got this from Tony Robbins, suffering comes from the meaning that we give to things. And that meaning that we give to things is normally derived from our past. Always derived from our past. It's the conditioning, how we're brought up, often from very well-meaning people. But it's we will give meanings to things based on the past. We can change that meaning we can change our reaction by changing the meaning. So, I hope that's been useful. It's a very useful thing to know that. I do have a community where I help people with this kind of thing. I've got a number of options for you to work with me. If you have eczema, many people on my channel are on this for eczema. There is a link below this video so you can join my program. And you'll have access to the online program, which was selling for $97. And this is a 6-week program guiding you through getting rid of inflammation and eczema, specific to eczema. And then we're also going to I do weekly Facebook Lives, which trigger a discussion on the topic of the week. And then the fun thing is the documentary viewing club. So once a week, I recommend a documentary. You watch it, I watch it. I present my findings, you share your findings. We all discuss it, make it fun. It's cool, it's fun. So this is a community, it's brand new. And I'm charging just $20 a month, which is a really minimal investment if you really think about the transformational value of that. It's a big thing. And I'm really excited to be sharing this with you, and lots of information like I have just shared with you. The main 3 pillars that I help people through are physical, mental, and spiritual. And the spiritual bit is really interesting. It's not about or a religion. It's about understanding that you can get connected to your heart, your soul, your spirit, the non-physical part of you. And when we get so aligned with this and our vision of our ultimate version of who we want to be, our truest expression of ourselves, that's where cool stuff happens. So, physical, mental, spiritual, got a whole program for it, got an online community, getting going. I'd love to see you there. Hit the link below this video, and I'll see you in the community.